Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Odd Duck broadcast. I'm your host, Quindolin Rivers, and joining me for the inaugural episode, kicking things off, is a man who needs no introduction, but certainly deserves it, Matt Hardeman. The man, the myth, the legend.
Let's go,
right?
baby!
This is the guy, all right? I heard your pleas. You want Quat content? It's here!
It's here,
all right?
baby!
Oh, my God! Woo!
Bro, I feel like we need to talk a little bit about the origin of Quat. Like, from my perspective, I mean, it came out of nowhere, and I was so happy that it was happening. All of a sudden, somebody posted, I guess, just like a random montage of videos of us, and I thought it was just like the funniest edit I'd ever seen. It had this one clip of you doing this.
Yeah.
And bro, every time I watched it, it had me dying. And it just turned into this whole movement. It was like one of the most exciting parts of the finale for me is it was this rise happening, entering into finale. And I was like, Quinn doesn't even know about Quat. Like, he doesn't even know about it. And I got to tell him about it. I can't wait. It was so funny, bro. Shout out to Quat Nation.
Dude, best, it's called like a crackmans. I'm obsessed.
Yeah.
And I remember you told me on stage, I gave you a friendship bracelet I made you in Jury House where it was like Matthew, and you were like, instantly, you were like, yo, our fan bases have molded together. It's called Quat. And all I took from that, I was like, yo, I have a fan base. Yeah. I was like, they don't hate me.
Oh, dude, it was so funny, bro. Oh, it was so good,
goodness.
bro. And I literally, I remember like feeling the pressure that everybody had the cameras on me, seeing if I was gonna like run up to McKenzie and I run straight to Quinn, and I'm like, guess what? Literally, our fan base is coming together. I was so excited to tell you that, bro. That was so funny.
That was what kickstarted the greatest, because for people who don't know, they kick you out of the hotel the next day. CBS is ready for you to go stat. And so I didn't want to go to sleep that night because I was scared I wasn't going to wake up. Because I'll be honest, general public, we were hitting the town, okay? The cast of Big Brother 26, we were turning up, okay? I saw this man in the lobby of not even my own hotel at like 5 a.m, and I was like, oh, hey, what's up, guys? And so I was scared to go to sleep. So I scroll on Twitter and I'm watching every single like showman's edit of me with every single dude of our season. Except for Chemo. I don't know how Quimo didn't pop off, but the Quat ones, I was like, oh my God. And one of the tweets was like, Quinn looks at Matt like he's never been in love before. And it's just like slow motion edits of me looking at you with just a pure joy in my heart. And that feeling has maintained till now. Like you
100%. 100%. Like, the fact that in the edit of the episode, you know, the episode that I had just gotten evicted, it's a crazy episode to watch back. I mean, even to this day, when I watch it through the perspective of a fan and a viewer at home, I'm sitting here thinking this is the craziest episode because you've got, you know, this whole complex with me and Angela just went down. I mean, McKenzie and Leah are bawling, and I don't think the rest of the house even really knows about it. But then it pans to my face, it goes gray, and then it's just you going, he's even more handsome in black and white. This is possible.
And I was like, this is crazy.
They put it in the edit.
Bro, that makes me so happy. It was such a mixed feeling because it was like, you were going to be such a problem in the house. Like, just bar none, you were an issue, bro. All right? You're too charismatic. He's huge. He's even bigger in person. That's something people don't understand. I'm like, this guy's a Mack truck. And so you leaving, I was like, thank God I don't have to deal with that. But then I was like, man, I'm going to miss that guy. And so I made a point throughout the whole season. I was like, in the same way that Derek X would bring up Travis as much as possible, I was like, I'm going to bring up Matt as frequently as possible. I want this dude's name to be mentioned. Like, I want his name echoed throughout the house from start to finish. And I think it worked. Like, especially because McKenzie made it to the end. And then it was like, you even, like, at the start, we're going to work with Chelsea. So it was like, and Cam. So it was like, no matter what, you were involved in the season, and I think that that's pretty impressive for a first boot. I think that you're definitely my favorite first boot, but impact-wise, it's crazy. Yeah, I am biased. All right, I'll admit it. I know you in person. All right.
Yeah, man, it's definitely weird because I think even in casting, like as much as we're allowed to say about that process, that a lot of the times when you are understanding more about how to play and you're watching as much of the season as you can, like we all did, whether you were super fan or not. I mean, you're pounding out seasons, cranking out episodes, studying different strategies, trying to get ready for it. And it was like, it's funny you bring up Travis's, because that was one that was, put my way as like, don't do that. Don't be that guy. And I was so nervous. I was like, oh no, am I now? People are going to be like, don't be Matt. Don't be like Matt. And I'm going to be the new example. I was like, oh shoot. But yeah, man, it's interesting because a lot of first boots, it's, I even when I grew up watching Survivor. I was a huge Survivor fan, and the first boot is always the one that just does too much in the beginning and is like really annoying and aggravating or playing way too hard. And it's weird in our season because if I'm being honest, I think there's a piece of that in me. I was playing really hard and some people clocked me on it, but it's not all the way that it's a weird feud mix into it, and a feud that, man, I mean, if we're all being honest, holds this like morality component and ethic component to it in terms of life and how life mixes with reality TV and how that mixes with the game of Big Brother. It's a very intricate situation, and so there's components of that. And I don't know, you're probably a better person to answer this question for why I was voted out. A lot of people, it's not like other seasons where it was like, you're just the most annoying, you're playing way too hard. It was kind of like, we just had to take that opportunity because it was presented. And I'm sitting here even to this day, not out of bitterness, thinking, man, removed from, I call it the massacre with Angela, what would have happened and at what point would I have been voted out from there, if that never happened, or how far could I have made it, and how would that have changed alliance components, and even as a fan of the show, I was upset for the narrative of the show that I do feel like, if I had stayed, I was playing, I had alliances and I had different things moving, and it just would have made a really, interesting component to add into the narrative of season 26. So yeah.
Dude, it's insane. You mentioned Survivor. It reminds me of this is a deep cut. Philip and this woman named Francesca. Philip is this like crazier character. Francesca seems like a perfectly normal, well-adjusted person, but all of a sudden this like very loud voice gains power, and then she's the first boot. She gets called back for a second season with Philip, and then she's the first boot again. And so I feel like you're a more charismatic Francesca going against an even crazier Philip. It's so sad. I think that you would have cooked super fat. And it's like, were you playing a little bit fast? I guess, but your back was against the wall and you at least tried. A lot of players our season, no shade, when their back was against the wall, they kind of just accepted defeat. And that was something I always respected about you, is you were holding court in the storage room and you were playing, bro. You were wheeling and dealing. And it's just so sad that like something that people don't know about is, as much as like Angela had this vendetta against you, she disliked Lisa even more. And so if Lisa doesn't win that veto, you're going to stay. Like it's so sad the way that you went out, because it is the perfect storm of circumstances of like all of this coming together, even to the point where like during the HOH competition, it's the final three: Kenny, your boy, Leah, your girl, and then Angela. And it goes to a tiebreaker because they all suck at the game and scored 0 points. Like, it's crazy to me.
Bro, I want to talk about that because I feel like if you've seen the episode, I don't know if you've watched the season back, I'm sure you have. Like, that episode in real time was so different than what you experience on TV, because it was so much closer than what it was shown. And so there were 2 rounds of the final 3. They went twice and there was a tie and they redid it again. And all Kenny had to do, and I was so surprised they did not use this in the edit of the episode, was Kenny literally in the first round, he drew 3rd. And so he went last. I don't even know if anybody hit on the first 2 tries between Angela and Leah, but whatever happened, all Kenny had to do was just hit an odd number. And bro, they're asking me about this in the diary room. And it's the same thing I'm saying now. I'm sitting here being like, oh my gosh, we're about to take over this house. Like, I really could be in the Lord's plan that I could go far in this show because this is crazy what's happening right now. And Kenny literally had to toss his puck 5 yards, 4 yards. And I remember thinking, like, he can almost reach over and just drop it. It's so close. And he shorts it. And bro, I'm telling you, like,
I thought he threw it. I was like, yo, this guy is crazy. And it was so intense. They had a little couch set for us. We are all sitting there at the edge of the seat, like, frothing at the mouth. We were like, this is insane. Losing our minds.
Right.
You mentioned that, like, the preparation, you don't want to be the Travis. Was there a specific player during your, like, studying of the Big Brother meta, looking online at strategies, watching seasons back? Was there anyone that you were trying to, like, emulate specifically? Was there a player that stood out to you where you're like, I want to do what they did?
Yeah, so it's funny because it's such a multi-tiered question. There's players that I enjoyed watching. There's players whose game I thought there were pieces I wanted to take from. And then there's people who I thought in practicality my game would also emulate. So I do feel like it's best displayed in season 20. I think that's the perfect way to explain it. Is I kind of thought in actuality, I would try to play a game and it would just, knowing myself, my personality, that I would have a similar game to Tyler. If he was social, he won when he needed to. He was very good at putting stuff in people's ears, X, Y, and Z. I thought that was the game I was going to end up having to play. I wanted to play a game like Casey, where I remember the first time I watched season 20, I'm thinking, where is this girl? Like, where is she on our screen? I get so frustrated about that. Being a Survivor fan growing up, is there's certain winners that even as a young kid, before I knew any better, I would get so frustrated with because I felt like they weren't as involved, and it was probably I was just too immature to understand their game. But I'm a young kid, and I would want certain characters to win because I felt represented by them, which is the beauty of reality TV. Anyways, I wanted to play a game like Casey, kind of lay back as much as I possibly could, and then just win when I needed to, and fall back on saying, like, I can let some other stuff happen and let some other stuff develop. And hopefully, honestly, the game I wish I played was freaking Cam. I didn't know Cam's game was even possible. And if I knew that was a possibility for a D1 athlete who's extremely handsome and extremely athletic and like a great guy and very cool, I'm like, bro, I would have done that. I didn't know that was even going to be a possibility. But
it's crazy we let him get away with it. We let him get away with that. It's insane. It's crazy.
Because I'm sitting at home as the season progresses. This is no disrespect. It's all love, but because it was beautiful how it played out. But I'm just like, you're telling me if I just did nothing, I would have got so much farther? What? So all in all, to answer your question, I thought I would play a game like Tyler. I wanted to play a game like Casey. But the game that I enjoyed watching the most was Brett. I mean, bro, I would watch Brett at home dying laughing at the stuff this guy would do. And I thought, maybe there was like a token or a crumb I could pull out to apply. And I did think it would be funny if, I did have a lot of confidence in my alliance. And I felt like there was a moment right before a nomination speech that I could do something crazy like that. And just for the purpose of entertainment, I was willing to do it, but, didn't get the chance. But I feel like that kind of displays best my perspective going in.
Dude, I love that. And like, I remember asking you that in the house, and everyone's answers is like a little bit different, and everyone's trying to put up, especially week one, it felt like you were watching in real time, people constructing their walls with how they wanted to be perceived and stuff like that. And so when you told me, Brett, I would watch you leave the diary room, and you were one of the few people who, like me, we would leave and we'd be like, bro, I'm having a great time in that. Bro, we were having so much fun. And so in my head, I was like, yo, this guy's telling the truth. He is going to be our Brett, where he's just going to be like loud and fun and just be like, we're not going to take this too seriously. And then, oh my goodness, I wish that, I feel like it would have been, the moment would have been way crazier, but you clapping back would have been insane, like Brett, where he's like, just own it, you know, where he, you know, it's something like that.
That comes up on my TikTok feed where she's like, I can't even do, Rockstar's like, I can't even do this right now. And he's just like, then don't.
Dude, that's crazy. So bro, if I witnessed that in real life, my jaw would have been on the ground. I would have been dapping up Brett behind the scenes. I'm like, that was nuts.
That was
dude.
wild. And that's my thing, bro. Like, I think if that situation was something that I thought even remotely could have happened, was a possibility, then there could have been more of that. You know what I mean? But it was so out of left field and so out of nowhere that, I mean, I'm continually processing the ramifications of that to this day. And, you know, I think what a lot of people don't think about is, I'm a human being, you know, like, we are real people. And so, like, that was, you know, really, I don't want to use like traumatic in a way that's not justice to things that are actually traumatizing. But, you know, it did leave me with things that I'm still dealing with, you know?
Yeah.
And it was such a unique situation, was so out of left field. And even in my response, which was just like to me, the most like humanistic response in terms of like, that really was just me stripped down. Like, this is who I am. You know, there was no, there was no strategy. There was no thinking. There was no manipulation. That was just like, so me just thrown so off guard that I was like, I've got nothing else but then to just take this how it is. And at the time when, you know, we were exhausted, we're in a really high pressure environment situation. There's so much behind the scenes that a lot of people don't see that really affect your state going in. And, you know, I am staying up every night trying to flirt with McKenzie. And like, dude, I mean, dude, it's crazy. So like, all that played into that moment, and it removed any potential for that to just be like a game situation.
A fun moment. Instead, it felt so serious. Like with the Brett and Rockstar, that's two very ridiculous people that have lived in the house for a long time. And it was kept mostly to the game. You know, like his clapbacks never got too personal, anything like that. Even though it was very real for Angela, like that Angela Rockstar.
Yeah.
In our situation, it felt like daggers were out. It was scary. Like I was sitting there like, oh my God, we're watching a like monumental crash out. And I felt like it really spoke to your character that like, even like you said, you were stripped down. What you presented and how you responded, I felt like was very respectful and responsible and like very aware of the space that you take up, even physically. Like I thought that you did a very good job handling yourself as like some very serious things were tossed your way.
I appreciate that because at that moment and in that moment, I knew my game was cooked. And bro, I want to know what you think about this, because this is a question I have for Big Brother super fans, you know, like yourself and like all of us. Like, what is to stop? So I'm so curious what's going to happen season 27, and you know this because we all fit like a certain character in every season, and if you watch this every season, you know, for the most part, there's always going to be some variation of the same types of people because it creates diversity, and you know, there's a spread. So in the moment, you know, when we walk in the house, we're all kind of thinking like, oh, I'm kind of like that guy, you know?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that person is who I guess I'm kind of like, and you know, and even for me, I was kind of thinking like, there's no way, you know, there's no way I'm supposed to be that person who was on last season or the season before. So I'm curious, bro, what you think about, let's say season 27, there's the, you know, me archetype, or the person who's kind of in the role and the position I was playing, and in terms of like fitting into the season, like what's to stop anybody from any season just picking one person and just, I'm talking like freaking exploding on their ass and ruining their game. Like I'm curious to see if season 27 will have characteristics of that, because I knew in the moment that was happening, I'm done. There's nothing I can do. And like you said earlier, I was gonna try, and I did try, and I tried the best that I could, but at the same time, I was done. You know, like I feel like I had no shot. And I don't know, you know, maybe this is another thing, you know, you can give some insight to. Like, I didn't really know what I could have done to actually get anybody's vote. I felt like I was just cooked. I'm on the block and everybody was like, yo, I don't want to face that dude in X challenge. Let's get him, you know? And so I was like, I just felt like I didn't have a shot at that point. So I don't know. How do you feel like what happened in terms of a game strategy perspective would play out in the future?
I think that I mean, you mentioned like the reoccurring archetypes. Like we saw the young ripped guy in season 10 go against the, you know, a little kooky older lady in Rennie versus Jesse, and then we see
Yep.
Brett versus Rockstar, and then now it's Matt versus Angela. And I think that like the difference is that she was in a power position, and
Yeah.
you didn't have an opportunity to dig your teeth into our cast to like create these relationships that are long lasting.
Yeah.
And so I think next year, I don't know if anyone's going to try to emulate Angela, just because like that came from a spot that is, I don't know. I think that we're going to get a lot of Tucker dupes. I think people are going to try to be Tucker, and it's like, you just can't. You can't be Tucker.
You can't. Yeah.
But with Angela, I think like what's stopping someone from crashing out on one specific person, it would have to be, number one, that it's as lucrative as an opportunity as taking you out, unfortunately. And then it would also have to be they're in a power position and sitting next to someone like Kenny, who was checked out of the game. I think that if you were sitting next to someone like, if you're sitting next to Tucker, maybe, I don't know who you could sit next to.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And so I think it's all like circumstantial for that to actually work, because it really did tank her social game. And it was interesting in the jury house. Weeks later, she's sitting there and she goes, was it smart for me to call out Matt and blow up his game week one? I was like, if that was your intention, yeah, but I don't think that was her intention. I think that she just wanted a TV moment, which is fine, but it is what it is.
Bro, 100%.
Yeah. And then something that I was curious, I didn't even want to bring up Angela. I'm so sorry. It's crazy. It always comes up. It always comes up.
Yeah.
And so like my question is, we're kept up in a hotel for 2 weeks, okay? I was gnawing at the door hinges, ready to get out. We're blindfolded. We're on the lot in LA. They remove it. I didn't have my glasses, so I was actually blind. I just saw like a blurry Lisa, and I was instantly like, yo, this lady's crazy. Cannot work with her. I was curious about like your first impressions of our cast and like our move-in group specifically, so that we're not going through 15 people. But like, what did you think? We're on stage looking around. You see everyone in their like archetype like outfits, stuff like that. What were your thoughts on everyone?
Yeah, so I guess the thing that I was trying to look for was the person I could find the most camaraderie with the fastest. And it's what I did. I found that in Kenny, right? Like, I kind of wanted to throw out a piece of myself and see how that would be received and taken to everybody, and just kind of see where the energy from there was moving. I at least wanted to have one person that I felt like I could begin the process of trust, and at least if they flipped on me, they would have to accept the fact that they lied and they backstabbed me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, not to move too far ahead, but I wanted to make it a point before leaving the game, knowing I was going to get evicted, that I wanted to ask every single person, you were one of them, and ask, hey, what can I do to get your vote? And then make everybody lie to me, which I did. You were one of them. You lied to me, And
A lot.
And I wanted everybody to at least be like, you're going to have to make your first lie in this game, and it's going to be because I'm going to ask you straight to your face. So back to your question, I wanted to find one person that I feel like I could find camaraderie with, and I did feel like I would get that out of Kenny, and then I did end up getting it out of Kenny. But bro, I talk about this all the time. We walk in, and everybody's looking around, dapping each other up. You and Cedric are right in front of me, right? You guys, I watched y'all dap up, and then y'all look at me, and you look at me, and you go, man, they got me standing up there next to this Greek god, and Cedric goes, yeah, what is this, America's Next Top Model? And I literally in my head was like, dude, I am so fucked. I'm so screwed. There's no way I can win this game. I was like, the first thing anybody says to me is about my stature. I was like, bro, what is happening? And so in that moment, I was like, I'm cooked. And I was just praying because, bro, to the point we were talking about earlier, I was like, there's no way I am the like handsome guy archetype of our season, or I'm not like the fitness guy. There's just no way. I've never viewed myself as that in my community here in my real life. I would never say like I am like a huge outlier in terms of that. And so I was like, there's just no way. Like, there's no way. But what I did know is I was like, I mean, I am significantly taller than Quinn and Cedric, and the only other guy is Kenny, who's like a 50-year-old bald white guy. So I was like praying. I was like, where are the rest of the people? Where is the model guy? And I was waiting. I was waiting to be like, the model fitness guy, I'm gonna have to just throw as much attention on his looks and his beauty and his stature and his muscles as possible, because I need to get that off me because of that first comment and walking in feeling like, I was just like bigger. And so everybody else comes down, and I've got Tucker and Cam. And so I was kind of thinking like, maybe I need to just like push it on them. But then, Tucker's not that big of a guy. And, Cam's a pretty big guy, but I was just like, there's no way I am that. So that was really freaking me out. So there's that. I know, like, I thought me and Leah were going to absolutely hate each other because I am, a Southern guy. I grew up in this area, and it's funny because like where I live at the time, I was living in Roswell, and bro, you can see it like in the history of my life. Like I literally spent most of my time like fishing with kids in my neighborhood. They like are running when I get off work, asking if I can go back there with them. I know their parents. They're having me over for dinner. Like it's small town USA, but it's not that small. But small town USA, but in Buckhead, which is where I work, all these like, I call them Buckhead baddies are out there, and they kind of like live the closest they can to the Miami lifestyle in Atlanta is kind of what Buckhead will kind of give you. But a lot of them that I know go to Miami often to live the Miami life, right? So when I met Leah and she's telling me about her life, I'm like, bro, she's just like a Buckhead baddie. Like, there's no way. And all the Buckhead baddies, me, what I view as valuable and I view as purposeful is maybe just not aligned with what they do. Like, it's not about to me, I don't really care that much about money. They care a lot about money. I don't really care that much about designer stuff. They care a lot about designer. And so, like, that's all love. It's like whatever you're into. But I just thought Leah was going to be one of those. So I was like, yo, me and this girl, we're going to have nothing in common. She's going to hate me. Like, she is literally going to hate me. So that was kind of my first impression of her, talking to her. And then, she's telling me, she's like, yeah, I listen to YG and I listen to Baby. I'm like, who is this girl, bro?
So, like, where did you find her?
I was like, this is crazy. I thought she was like trying to mistake me for a fool, bro. I mean, she's literally, I'm like, what do you listen to like when you get in the car? She's like, I don't know, probably Dolph. And I'm like, yo, what? Like, you're telling me you get into the car and play Young Dolph? Like, I was like, that's crazy. But she's such a dope girl, bro. But so that was kind of my impression of Leah. I was like, this girl is gonna hate me by the time we're in here for 60 days. And then Lisa, I thought Lisa was gonna be super problematic. Like, I thought she was gonna be like, yo, I'm the shit, and like everybody bowed down type energy. That was just my first
Oh,
impression.
okay.
Yeah, like I thought she was gonna be like very like diva, very strong personality, which she is. And she turned out to be one of my closest friends in the house. So like that was super cool. She's very down to earth. I just, I wasn't expecting it. She was talking about edible glitter and like, some swirly twirly stuff that I was just like, yo, I don't know nothing about that. So, but we ended up being very close now. So that was kind of Leah. Cedric, bro. So this is kind of funny. Cedric is my homie. That's my dog. I mean, just like you, we stay in touch. And but Cedric, I told people, a small crowd in the beginning, I was like, if I win, I'm putting him on the block. So Cedric would have been the first one that I would have went for, because I thought he was playing so scared. That's kind of what I thought. He was moving too much for me, and
Bro,
I
he
was
was
kind of
acting crazy week one.
Yeah.
He was insane
Yeah.
week one. He was like hugging me, and I was like, straight up, I don't like that guy.
Yeah, bro.
Which is like, I love Cedric now, but I agree. Week one, he was moving crazy.
Yeah.
And like, it pissed Tucker off. Tucker
Yeah.
in the have not room was like, he's dropped the attitude. He's dropped the act. It's been 2 days and he can't maintain it. I
Yeah.
see right through him. And I was like, yo, this Cedric guy is getting buried right now. He is screwed.
Bro. I know. I just felt like he was moving too much. And he, at the time, bro, at the time of, I want to say before HOH, I don't know. At some point, I remember thinking to myself, there was only two people I had not talked game with. And that was Cedric and Chemo, which I thought was very interesting. So because I knew Cedric was talking game, because if you can see on his face, I mean, in the first week, he's walking around like,
yeah.
And so I was like, bro, I know you're talking game, and obviously it's Big Brother 101 to know if they're not talking about game with you, they're talking about game with someone else. So I didn't trust him, and other people that I was around ended up trusting him. So that was kind of my thought with Cedric, like, and he's smooth, bro. Like Cedric's got swag, like he's slick, he's a good looking guy, and that's why when he was moving, he made me nervous. So that was kind of my perspective on him. And then I gave my perspective on Kenny. Am I leaving out anybody, or I think that's everybody?
I know you in Brooklyn. I thought that you guys knew each other in real life.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, they might know each other in real life because you guys were from the same area. Like, strangely enough, it was like crazy coincidence.
Yeah, bro. So you know a little bit about behind the scenes, but as much as like we can say, we're going into the show, and again, it's, if you watch every season, you kind of know there's certain complexes that are always going to happen every season. It's going to happen next season. It's happened every season. And so, I'm thinking like there's going to be, a girl in here that I'm sure, is going to fit my type. And so, there's some behind the scenes stuff. And I told them straight up from day one, I was like, I've never talked to a blonde. I've never dated a blonde in my life. I have always dated girls with brunette hair. It was kind of a funny thing in my casting process because they asked me obviously a lot about freaking, relationships and stuff.
Oh yeah.
I would use that as a joke. I'd be like, well, to be honest, I've only talked to brunettes, but that hasn't worked out one time. So maybe I'm in my blonde era. I kind of make a joke out of it. So, and I told them, I was like, I'm very nervous to ever date a girl that comes from a different area than me, because I really enjoy just some hobbies and stuff. Like I fish and I hunt and I hike a lot. I spend a lot of time outside, X, Y, and Z. I would kind of present it like, I just don't know if I would be the most fun for somebody that's just not, used to being where I'm from. And I would probably be a bad, partner for them. So I knew if there was gonna be a girl for me on the show, she was probably gonna be dark haired, and she was probably gonna be some type of Southern girl, right? And so I'm talking to Brooklyn, and she's like, yeah, you know, I'm from Dallas. And I was like, okay. And you know, I was like, yeah, I was actually just there on the Katy Trail. And she's like, oh yeah, I take my kids up there all the time. And I was like, oh shoot, bro, like they really think I'm ready to be a dad. Like
They're like, this guy's ready to step up.
I was like, I knew this like Southern gentleman thing was they were kind of pitching me as, but I was like, they really think I'm ready to like enter into fatherhood out here. So, you know, she keeps going and she was like, yeah, you know, my husband. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. It's not Brooklyn, but
No, you're like, bro, I gotta break up a marriage. That's crazy.
I was like, I can't
Man.
do someone like that. I can't do someone like that. But it's so funny. We laugh about it now. You know, it's just funny to look back on. So that's probably first impressions of everybody.
Dude, this is like first day I'm overthinking everything.
Yeah.
Like, as you're having that conversation with Brooklyn about being like her knowing what area you're from and everything, I am talking to Cedric.
Yeah.
And I say, yeah, I'm from Lawton, Oklahoma, the shady.
Oh, yeah, I remember this.
And he looks me in the eyes and goes, I'm from Duncan. And I was like, I told T-Core, I said, Matt and Brooklyn are like from similar areas. Cedric and I are from similar areas. I guarantee you there's someone else like from our season because we hadn't met the second group yet.
Right.
So I told her, I was like, I bet your doppelganger is in the other move-in group.
Yeah.
Because I was like overthinking. I was like, that's the theme. It's like misconnections or something like that. Like,
yeah,
we're all from similar but different areas, stuff like that.
That would be sick.
Ended up me just being crazy, which is, you know, it is what it is. I thought Cedric
you gotta think like that. Yeah.
Bro, I was worried that Cedric would know me because of our age difference. I was like, yo, I was a senior when he was a sophomore. That means in athletics, I probably disrespected some people in his life that he looked up to on the field, where it's like in soccer, you know, his and my school had like pretty bitter rivalries. Like Duncan Demons, lame. Boom. And so I was like, bro, he's gonna know me because of my hair and like I'm well known in the like soccer community in Oklahoma. I was like, he probably knows me and he probably hates my guts. I was like trying to do damage control. This dude had no idea who I was.
Wow. That's hilarious.
I was curious. You know, you get voted out. We're all sad. We're disgruntled. You looked cool on the way out. You were wearing your running shoes, which I did the same thing. Any physical competition, I refused the Big Brother mandated shoes. I was like, I need my own equipment here, so I'm comfortable. Post show, what is that like? Because I know that like my tweets right after the show would blow up, no matter what it was I was tweeting. Just because it was like the show was still going on technically, like it was like right at the end. As you're going through the season, what was that spotlight? What was that spotlight like? And what were you up to? Were you going on TikTok lives like I was hoping you would, or what?
Yeah, dude. So it's funny, man, because when I got out, there was such a huge, and you know, nobody else will understand this to the degree because I was obviously the first one out. But when I got out, there was such a huge support system for me. And it, you know, for anybody listening who's a part of that, I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful and humbled that you cared enough to show love and, you know, take the time to bring encouragement my way. Like I saw it all, and I'm very, very thankful. You know, I think my biggest fear was like, for everybody, you know, you go on the show and you hope to win, but you also hope that you can capitalize on whatever happens. And, you know, a lot of people are going to throw shade at that, but it's just true. It's just true. And anybody that doesn't try, you know, is missing an opportunity. So, you know, I tried my hardest and I got put in a really weird situation and tried to, you know, inspire a lot of people and to back things up a little bit. You know, I knew the Angela thing would be a big story for the amount of the frequency I was in the DR. I mean, obviously, and that was just a crazy situation. But also in my exit interview, I mean, bro, they hit me with all of the political stuff. So I'm on
Oh,
stage and they're like, hey, do you want to know what's happened since you've been out of the house? And I'm like, yeah. Thinking they're going to be like, the United States has won a couple gold medals and
they freed Young Thug.
yeah, right.
You're like,
Five got
woohoo!
freed, I was like,
Yes.
okay. So, and they're like, last Thursday, there was an attempted assassination on former President Trump. And they're breaking it down. They're like, JD Vance steps up. Democrats put pressure on, President Biden to step down. Kamala's made the decision to be endorsed to be the next, Democratic representative. And they're just like, they literally hit me with that. And they're just like,
Thoughts?
and I was like, yo, I mean, so that was a crazy situation. And it is the only thing in my entire Big Brother experience that I did not truly feel like was handled in a way that was honoring to me, because coming out of the house and just having to go through, a lot of emotional situations, getting voted out, losing AI Arena, that whole entire day, saying goodbye to McKenzie. I mean, all those things. And then to walk out, understand that you're the first boot, and I don't know what my mom's thinking. I don't know what my family's thinking. I don't know if they think I'm okay. There's all these things going through your head, and they hit you with something that takes a lot of mental capacity to answer. And I'm very thankful, that I tried to answer that the best way that I could at the time. And so I bring that up because when I got out, there was a lot of love that I received because of my response. And so that was another thing that I was very thankful for, because, who I actually am, I want to be educated and have my take on political matters. And, I want to make sure that I'm informed, and I put people first and I put love first. But, that's what I tried to say. I tried to say, like, regardless of where you fall on the scale, I want to be a part of the movement that's going to put love first and is going to put people first. And so, I also took some shots because some people were like, "Oh, he's relating politics back to the situation with Angela." I could give a shit. You know what I mean? Because what I was trying to say was, in the wake of somebody treating you improperly, like is how I felt, that choosing to forgive is the heart posture that I am hoping we take as a country to take steps forward, because I'm tired of all the things happening in culture. I'm tired of police brutality. I'm tired of racism. I'm tired of hate. I'm tired of people dying. I'm tired of suicide. I'm tired of drug abuse. I'm tired of, all these X, Y, and Z. That's what I was hoping that moment would, to some degree, display. I wasn't trying to relate it back. But I bring that up because when I got out, I had a lot of love because that went viral on TikTok. So I was just so swarmed by love, bro. And look, I'm just gonna keep it a buck. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. Like, when I got out, there were no Angela fans. And that's just like from my perspective, And I wasn't having to, probably until like week 3 or 4, ever see somebody come at me saying that I did anything incorrectly. So, like, whether people agree with that or not, that was just my experience. In the first 3 weeks of the show, there were like probably until Kenny was evicted, because Angela also treated Lisa, in a very rude manner. And that also compounded on what she also treated me in week 1. She did not have any fans, bro. And when I got out, I didn't see him. And I can tell you, it's not just because I was naive, because I was looking. So when I got out, there was no complex of like people trying to say, comment on my stuff and be like, how does it feel that Godzilla ruined you? Like, there was none of that. It was just swarms of people saying, like, I'm so sorry. You didn't deserve what happened. We were rooting for you. And then the ones that meant a lot to me were the ones that were like, I'm a mother. And I watched that moment with my kids in our home. And it got to create, and this is like, I have so many of these stories, bro. And I'm so thankful that, God used my life in that way, because so many people have come up to me in public all the time and will say exactly that. Hey, I'm a mom, and we watched that situation, in our living room, and it created a conversation moment for me and my kids. And I didn't want to go into detail at finale on live about this, but a week and a half or a month and a half before finale, I had a mother come up to me at the gym, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, you're Matt from Big Brother." And I was like, "Yes, ma'am. Like, nice to meet you." She's like, "Are you gonna be here for a while?" And I was like, "Yeah, I just got here. I'll be here for a little bit." She's like, "Please don't move. I have to introduce my son to you. I have to." She's like,
Yeah.
"Promise me you're gonna wait." I was like, "Yes, ma'am. I'll be here for the next hour and a half, whatever." She goes running out the door, running out the door. I'm doing my thing. She comes running back with her 9-year-old, and he comes up, man, and gives me a hug. I mean, he's pumped. We take a photo, and his mom, and he goes off with his dad, whatever. And his mom on the way out was like, he gets bullied at school, and it's been really detrimental to our family and his mental health, and he's having suicidal thoughts at the age of 9. And she was like, he thinks that he has now had the courage and the inspiration and the example that you set and how you responded, that he doesn't have to listen to what the bullies say at school. And you've gave him that hope. And she's teary-eyed looking at me, and she's like, "Thank you so much." And bro, if my whole point of going on Big Brother, purpose of going on Big Brother, was for that kid's life, then I would do it 10 more times. I'd do it 10 more
That's
times.
awesome. Yeah.
So
I love
I feel
that,
like
man.
that sums up kind of what life was like after. And
Yeah.
so a lot of love. That situation, like moments like that are so cool. We all have some stories like that. When I was going to the show, I had 3,300 followers, and bro, in my area, like, that was cooking. Like,
Yeah.
there's no guys with 3,300 followers. I have like 1 or 2 influencer friends that are guys in my circle. At 3,300, I was like, bro, I got this on lock out here in Atlanta. Don't come up in here. This is my ground, Kidding. But like, I was a very normal guy, and that obviously grew exponentially. And so that changed a lot. I'm still figuring that out to an extent of like, what's the best content that I can provide people that's helpful to them and resourceful and inspiring to them. I was going live on TikTok. That was something that, I was giving a shot. I had a lot of fun. Doing, man. Like, it was like a way to cope with what was happening in the season. I would get on with Lisa, I would get on with Kenny, I would get on with Cedric, progressively as people came out, and people started to flame me for it. They'd be like, why is Matt the, welcome home committee for all the people? And it was kind of funny, but I was having a lot of fun, man. And it was cool. Like, I was trying to just make content that promoted people to watch and engage with our season. So
Yeah.
Super positive, man. Super positive.
That's great to hear. And like, I want to make it abundantly clear. I'm really happy that you were on Big Brother, because it gave people the opportunity to connect with you. Hearing that story about that kid, like that, and people don't understand that. Like, you mentioned it with Survivor, where it's like, when you're a kid, you're looking up to people on reality TV, and that's such a strange thing to say. But like, I get similar messages where it's like, we all have kids that look up to us. And so I'm really thankful that like that kid had someone like you to like look up to and try to emulate their life, because I think that you lead your life with compassion and joy, and you're like not a miserable person. And so I say it all the time. I told Leah this literally the other day. I was like, you and McKenzie are my favorite content creators. Like, that's not even a joke. Like, I don't even watch content creators like that, on like influencers on Instagram or anything. But anytime I see one of your vlogs up, I'm like, I'm set, bro. I'm like,
That's
yes,
so funny.
let's go.
Oh, it means the world, man. I appreciate it.
Oh my goodness.
That's so funny.
So I'm happy that like you had such a positive, and I'm happy that the people leaving the house had someone like you. as the welcome committee. That's cool, man. Like, that's cool that you were able to offer that, especially online. And then it's like, I was curious. It's finale night.
Yeah.
Okay. McKenzie is finally released into the real world. You're reconnecting with her now with outside of the context of this cutthroat game filled to the brim with lies, deception, mistrust, and dastardly deeds. What was that process like reconnecting with her over this whole time? You've been watching her on your screen, which is probably an interesting dynamic. And then rediscovering your interest in each other. What was that like for you? I'd love to hear it. As a lover of romance, bro.
Yeah, man. Man, I'll say this, like, and I'm not lying. This is like the honest truth was like, when I saw McKenzie for the first time, I just knew that I was going to chase after her. I just knew. And where I was at before going on the show, a lot of people don't know this, and I don't know if we have enough time to tell it in totality, but I mean, at a high level, like I was dating a girl at the end of 2023 going into 2024. I just left working in full-time vocational high school ministry for a really large organization. And that was really messy. And so me leaving, it was very abrupt. There was a lot of pain and hurt associated with it. And I had to leave in such an abrupt manner that hurt a lot of high schoolers that I was pouring into, because I was no longer going to be a big piece in their life and pouring into them. And that was terrible. And like literally today, I mean, today is what, January, whatever, I had lunch with a guy I'm still processing the pain and hurt that came from that. It was very hard. So I ran into this relationship with this girl. I was living with another guy at the time who, was just wilding. He's hooking up with girls on Hinge. He's like drinking all the time, which, like is just his lifestyle. But I didn't want to do that, So I made the decision I needed to leave. And I start dating this girl. She helps me move out. Long story short, we break up. And 2 weeks later, I find out that she's been with that guy. Yeah. And so that broke me, bro. It broke me at the beginning of 2024. And it broke my confidence, my identity, my community. And she was not good to me. Like she was very manipulative and narcissistic and very controlling, like in my life. And I had to heal from that. So February up until January, February, March, April, I'm all in on just healing. So I start healing, and I end up going to a random concert with a bunch of friends that a random person comes up to me and is like, hey, you'd be great on reality TV. And a month later, I'm interviewing for Big Brother. A month later, I'm on the show. Like, that's how it went down for me. And
that's crazy.
It's crazy, bro. And I say all that to say that if I chose to not heal, I don't think that opportunity would have came. And I had to learn, I read this great book by Lisa Turkhurst called Forgiving What You Can't Forget. Bro, this is so funny. It's public knowledge that we're sequestered before going on the show. We don't have our phones, any technology. I bring 2 books with me. One of them's called Forgiving What You Can't Forget, and the other one's called Live No Lies. So no. I was like, dang. I remember sitting in there thinking, is this going to be applicable to my time on the show? Sure enough, forgiveness is the banner of my time on the show, hopefully. So I still had to say, I was in a place before going on the show where I was just exiting a lot of hurt in terms of relationship, but I had really dealt with some inner stuff that I don't know how else would have been healed and grown and developed if I hadn't gone through a lot of hurt. So looking back, there was a lot of purpose to that hurt, but that's where I was at going into the house. And I'm starting to think I'm in sequester thinking like, what if like I meet a girl like for real, this happens on the show, I mean, what if that happens? So I see McKenzie Joe for the first time and I'm like, I'm going to be chasing that girl, bro, without a doubt. I'm gonna be chasing that girl 100%. And sorry, my light just went off. So, and then I mean, dude, the way that we end up sleeping in beds next to each other was crazy because it's so funny, and I always talk about this, from my perspective because hers is different, and it doesn't matter because I'm here right now. So
Yeah,
I'm like,
this is our podcast, all
and
right?
we're here right now.
All right, come on now. What,
But
McKenzie?
bro, I'm telling you right now, don't listen to what she said. I'm out here in the storage room helping people get their luggage out. And I did that strategically because I wanted people to be like, this guy's a nice fella. And also, I didn't have to make a decision on the room I was going to stay in. Where you stay in the first week is a huge decision. Like, you were locked in with some of those people. You were most likely, generally, probably going to vote in the direction of some of the people that you stay with. So, like, it's a huge decision. And I was so nervous about that. What's going on with this thing? I was so nervous about that, and I didn't want to choose. I wanted like fate to just decide for me.
Yeah.
And so I'm helping people, move these suitcases in. But obviously, I'm thinking like, yo, where's the smoke show gonna sleep? Where is that girl gonna sleep? I'm kind of keeping tabs on it, and sure enough, she's up here. Yeah, you guys need some help? And I'm like, no way. She waited. There's no way. And then I was like, I gotta claim my bed. I was like, I want the pink bed. I'm sleeping in the pink bed. And then she picks the bed right next to me. And so in the moment, I was like, are we doing this right now?
She wants you, dude. She wants you. Are you kidding me?
I was like,
oh my gosh.
I was like, are we doing this right now? So that's where I was like, it's already, it's happened. We gotta roll with it. So but looking back, I'm so thankful because I can't imagine. I'm just gonna leave it off. I can't imagine going through the thing with Angela without McKenzie, and I can't imagine going through this experience without McKenzie. I mean, she has been such a safe place for me to process and to bring joy back, bro. And dude, it hasn't been easy, man, because long answer to your question, I just want to bring some context to it. Is like there's a lot we've had to work through, and I will say, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, I have never been around a more emotionally healthy woman in my life than McKenzie Jo Mainbag. And dude, there's some things that I had to communicate to her that she has worn on the chin and worn it well. Like there's some stuff like going into the show, that live feeder saw, like moments where nobody knew where she was at in terms of me. So entering into finale, I think what a lot of people saw and what I was feeling was a little different because it was, yes, excitement, but it was also a lot of anxiety. And I'm talking like, if I'm keeping it a buck with you, I was going to be excited for whoever won the show. I was very, excited to see everybody else when we got out. I very much so enjoyed this experience, but I felt like my overall Big Brother experience rose and fell on what was going to happen with McKenzie. Because all of it to me was just like, we'll see what happens. But with McKenzie, my heart is up in that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's a lot different than just like, we met and we're on a show together. Like I have feelings attached to that. And so, she's very up and down as I'm watching the season. There's moments where I'm like, oh yeah. There's moments where I'm like, I'm done. And she knows, she won't mind me saying this, is like, I made this decision that I was like, if McKenzie makes a jury, I'm moving on. Because like, I'm going to be straight up, is I've got, a platform now. I've got, my world's been opened up. I've got, I'm up in new circles. And I'm smart enough to know that if I just start going and moving with like whoever's in my DMs, whoever's following me, and when I go out, I didn't want it to be like Big Brother player Matt Hardeman, blah, 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 like in the newsletters of like me wilding. And so I knew I couldn't, I can't have 1 foot in, 1 foot out. So I was like, I will talk to 0 girls until I figured this out with McKenzie. But at the same time, I was like, I'm going to make 2 rules to myself, is that if she makes a jury and she's there the entire time, and she downplays that we ever had a connection, if those 2 things happen, I'm moving on.
Yeah.
And then sure enough, there were definitely some moments where I felt like she did downplay if we had a connection. And she does obviously make it past the jury. And so that time came around and I'm like, I know I said like I was going to move on, but like I just can't, and I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. And I just felt this thing in me that was like, I have to wait to figure it out with her. So I, stay clean all the way to finale, as clean as can be. And there's no other girls, there's no DMs, there's no, dates. Like, it's just been trying to get to finale. So I'm really anxious, man, because I mean, and this is just me like being totally vulnerable with you and on your podcast. Like, I felt like if she won, I didn't think we were gonna have a shot. You know what I mean? And it's funny because I remember when I told her that for the first time, she's like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "I don't know. I just feel like, you basically almost become a millionaire. How are you gonna be thinking like, yeah, this guy?" Like, I would be like, I don't know how that's gonna play out. I don't know what that's gonna look like. I don't know if you're gonna have the mental capacity for that. I don't know if you're gonna think I'm just trying to leech off your money. I don't know what it's gonna be. And so in my mind, I was like, if she wins, I don't think we're gonna have a shot. And I kind of was like, but I want her to win because I care about her as a person. But at the same time, if we win, I don't think anything romantic is gonna happen because I just like, I don't know. I don't know how she'll have the capacity for that. It just may take a lot of time. And I was like white knuckling my way to finale because it was like, what am I supposed to do? So it was very hard to wait. So finale happens. And that's why, bro, as a pre-juror, when we're watching like on the screen about to walk on stage, I mean, I am crapping bricks, bro. I'm like, because in my mind, I convinced myself, right or wrong, like if she wins, she won't be interested in me or want to navigate that for whatever reason, just being a human. And so I'm like crapping bricks. I'm like, what is going to happen? I don't know what's going to happen. And because I know I have to prepare myself for the fact that like I may face her and there may be nothing there. There may be nothing there. And so, even in the moment of finale, obviously what happens. She gets second, Chelsea wins. Like when we hug on stage, I was kind of like, yo, I wasn't really feeling a vibe like I thought I would, And so I didn't know. But then I was talking to one of the producers or something. Their kids were there and they were really small. And, one of them was like, oh, he loved you. I'm chopping it up with him. And, he's got like a superhero shirt. I'm like, just hanging out with these little kids. And I hear like someone from the back, she was like, if you don't want to hang out with him, you can just come hang out over here. And it's McKenzie. And so she like went out of her way to like, crack a joke back at me. And I was like, oh, we're back, baby. Like, let's go, So I was like, that was the vibe I was hoping for. And then it's funny when you were talking about, coming back to the hotel and everything on finale night. We get back, we're at that whatever that bar was for like the rap party, and she had press, so she wasn't out, and I get a text like me and her mom had connected just like casually, and before all this was going down, and she texted me from her mom's phone and she's like, where are you at? And I was like, I'm at the rap party. And she's like, can you like give me a drink? Like, let me know where you're at. And I'm just like, oh, we're on. We are on, baby. We're on.
From her mom's phone? Are you kidding me?
She like took her mom's phone and she's like, where you at? Where you at? And then her mom and her dad, shout out to Wendy and Mark, they leave because they're like, this Matt guy, we trust him enough that he's going to take care of her. So they leave her. They leave her with me. So we get back to the hotel. A couple of us take an Uber back to the hotel, and everybody's like, yo, I'm going to crash. And me and McKenzie stay up again, just sitting in the lobby and just like catching up. And bro, I'm telling you, man, like looking back on LA, in those couple days after finale, like you were there most of the time. I mean, it was a lot, bro, because like I have had the most experience dealing with the outside world because I was only, gone for 9 days. So like, all this stuff I've kind of processed how I'm going to process and looked at it, how I'm going to look at it. Everybody else is kind of taking it for the first time. I mean, you probably walked out and were like, holy cow, I've got 30,000 followers. What the heck, And it's a lot. It's a lot. It's like, how do people perceive me? What happened? I don't know. And, tied into that, there's a lot of selfish stuff. There's a lot of like, who do I need to be around to capitalize? And like, I didn't want to play that game. I was so over that. Like at that point, I just wanted to be Matt again. I wanted to rock with the people I rock with, whatever. So there's pieces of that in her, she's being exposed to all this for the first time. She had a little something, at home that she needed to clean up. And I didn't know where she stood with that. But at the same time, she was communicating with me. And I didn't know what was going to happen. And I'm telling you, bro, like, and I was just so, I was so exhausted. I just wanted clarity. And I wanted to know like when I go home, I'm not thinking about this anymore because it has just occupied my mind for 3 months.
Oh, yeah.
Every day.
Super overwhelming. I get that, dude.
Yeah, man. And like,
a lot.
It's a lot. It was like every day, every moment, every night, every Tuesday, every Sunday, like whatever. And so I just wanted to be like, what are we doing? And if you got stuff to figure out, like do it. And I need to know so I can go back to Georgia and live my life again and feel like I'm Matt Hardeman again and not Matt from Big Brother 26. And so we start, talking every night. We go to Manhattan Beach and, me, her, Chelsea, Matt, Lisa, we stay at this place. Like I needed to, to get away from West Hollywood, and it was just overwhelming me. It was too much and I needed to get away from it and be in a place that felt calm and felt like safe. And so I booked a place in Manhattan Beach. I was like, I'll pay for it, whatever. And we spent the time there, and that was what I needed. I needed like people to understand my world, but also like I needed peace, and I needed to be able to walk towards a coffee shop with people that didn't know me and be outside and not feel like I was in Hollywood. So, that's why I did that. Like, I'm pretty sure you stayed at the other Airbnb with Tucker, right? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, we spend that time, and bro, I don't want to ramble for too long, but I will say like I'm a very like I process a lot. I'm a very blunt person, and I tell McKenzie straight up, like I'm like, I can't do this anymore. You either got to like get in the game here and what's going on with us, or like I'm moving on. And she's like, she tells me at like Tucker's like one of Tucker's like 5 birthday parties.
Yeah, 30, man.
He had like 900 birthday parties. So
he aged a decade while we were there.
I'm like, who's throwing all these parties, bro? Like, this is crazy. So at one of them, when we're at that bar or whatever, I just like lost it. I just was like, I just can't do it. Like I need clarity. I've been literally tossed and thrown around for the last 3 months, and like, I don't know what you're thinking. My heart's on the line. Like this is real life. This ain't Big Brother no more. And I'm ready for it to stop. And so I'm like giving it to her. Cause I'm like, yo, in some way I'm like, if you don't feel that about me, then why'd you put me in a showman situation on the show? Because that robbed my chance. I lost my chance at the game because of that. Cause Angela, did that. So like, if you had this thing at home, or you didn't feel that way about me, or it wasn't real, then why did you screw me? And I'm just like rambling, and she wears it on the chin, bro. And she looks at me and she's like, She's like, Matt, you know, the only reason I'm staying in LA now is just so we can spend time together.
Oh
And
my God.
I'm like, yeah, I'm the worst, you know? And so long story short, we get home, we're FaceTiming every night, you know, all night long. And she comes down to Atlanta and, you know, stays with me and my community for a little bit, and, you know, watches my life and the people in it. We, you know, dinner with a bunch of my friends. She comes to my run club. She goes to church with me, meets my roommates, my community, my friends. And then I booked like a cabin in North Georgia in the mountains for a couple of days, and we just went up there and like just disconnected and just like hung out and cooked together and um, looked at the mountains together, went to orchards and wineries and just like hung out. And dude, that girl is amazing. Like, I feel like people that were watching, they think that it's like it's for show, it's for likes, it's like whatever. But dude, I'm
Can't
so
fake
down
that,
bad
man.
for that girl, bro. Like I could give a shit about what anybody has to say. Um, I mean, I hope it is endgame with that girl, and I'm so thankful for it. And she's healed so much of me, like from what I talked about earlier, and she's so emotionally mature. I mean, we have had to work through really hard stuff as a couple so far. And
Mhm.
like, dude, McKenzie works through stuff that in a way that I think about some of the other girls I've dated in my life, and I'm like, what the heck was I doing? Like, it is night and day. It is literally night and day in terms of emotional maturity and the way they love me and make me feel safe and um, encourage me to like be the best version of myself. Like that girl, like she is amazing. So that's kind of, you know, the story.
That's so sweet. And that was
Yeah.
so incredibly vulnerable. Like, thank you for sharing that. And for like the
Yeah.
viewers who might be a little bit confused on like the weight that you're feeling um during that time, right? Like you don't even know,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I don't know what your experience was at Tucker's million birthday parties, but everyone was asking me, what are you and Leah? What are you and Leah? What are you and Leah? She
Yeah.
wasn't even
Yeah.
feeling me like that. You
Yeah.
guys had like a real situation, and like um it, you and McKenzie weren't super fans before this, so it's like hard to calculate how big the fandom is, especially in terms of like showmances. And
Yeah.
so I can't imagine the weight on your chest. And so I think that was like a very valid feeling. That's the like end game of that is like I
Sure.
totally get that weight on your chest where it's like you that's all anyone's asking you. And so that feels
Right.
like that's all you can think about. And so I just really respect that you guys were able to have that really like responsible conversation. There's
Yeah.
a lot of vulnerability. There's like a very scary situation, and it's working
Yeah.
out.
Yeah,
Love is
man.
real, okay? Like
Yeah.
romance is real. It's adorable. We're cheering for it. I will always be rooting for you guys.
Thanks, man.
I'm obsessed. And I can't think of a higher note to end the podcast on than
Yeah.
you wearing your heart on your sleeve like that, all right?
Yeah,
That's what real
man.
masculinity looks like.
Come
That's what it
on.
means
That's
to be
right.
vulnerable, being sweet and kind and expressing
Yep.
your admiration for someone in your life. Like that's a little bit adorable, and sharing the insecurities that came with that. I
Yeah.
really appreciate it. I don't know if you came in here with that mission, all right? Because you're such a cool guy and you're going to platform that, but that's what you did. And so I wanted to give you the opportunity right now. Where can people find you? Where can we cheer you to success? Like, do you have any projects in the works that you want us to platform? Like, I'm super excited to be in a part of this experience with you. I can't wait for Big Brother 27.
Yeah.
They're so lucky that they have the best cast of dudes to
Right.
uplift them, and we're gonna be the
Agreed.
best alumni.
Yeah.
And so yeah, man, I really appreciate you coming on here with me. I really appreciate you being my friend in real life
Yeah.
and in the game. And
Right.
so, where can people find you? What do you have going on? Share with the world, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah. First off, man, y'all keep showing love to Quinn. This guy is the real deal. He is 100% who you see online and who you see on here as he is in real life. And that is a luxury in this world that we're in. So shout out to Quinn, to the future of the podcast. I feel so honored to have been here and to have been the first guest, man. How crazy. So Y'all keep showing him love. For me, you can find me on Instagram, Matt_Hardeman. It's kind of my main point of communication. TikTok, who knows what's gonna happen? It could get banned, it could not. We'll see. You can look for us there too. We're all found on TikTok, and then I actually have a podcast coming out in March that I'm still working really hard on and working through. Quinn, I'd love to have you on if you got some free time.
I'd be honored. I'd be honored.
Yeah, man, come down to Atlanta and hang out. But that's coming in the works. It's called Figuring It Out. It's kind of basically a podcast that's talking about all the things that we have to figure out, like we just talked about, emotions and vulnerability and masculinity in our 20s that nobody teaches you on. You just have to learn in real time. So we're going to hang out with some reality people, hang out with some other people in the content space, hang out with professionals, pastors, doctors, therapists, whatever. Something I'm super excited for. So that's coming. Hopefully, first episode will drop on March 7th, but I haven't communicated that anywhere. So this is the first place on this pod. Let's go, man. So yeah, check me out on YouTube if you want to go ahead and subscribe and mean the world. But love you guys. Thanks for all the support already.
Oh my goodness. That was so good. Oh my God. Did you have that written down? This guy's a professional. Oh my God. He's like that full-time job. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe.